Hey all, Ray here. Hope the day or the night has been great for you. It's been a while since I have something to review, and today Aula has sent over their F75, a tri-mode 75% keyboard for my honest feedback and opinion. Oh, they also wanted a serious review, so I guess I'll hammer it to death to see how it holds up. It's up on AliExpress for roughly $87 or $48 on Taobao. We'll see if the F75 is worth it as a gasket mounted, tri-mode, knobbed 75% packed with full of foam and a PET sheet. More on that later. The board is sent in their standard packaging. It's nothing to write home about, it's just one of the boxes of all time. It comes with instruction manuals, a dust cover which is handy, and a very basic USB-C cable and a 2-in-1 keycap switch puller. With two-step filleting on the borders, which continues to the bottom to give it a more dynamic look, the design feels like an upgrade from the budget board aesthetic of yesteryears. The customizable LED strip also adds some flair without looking too tacky. Lastly, the sizable knob may appeal to a wider audience as well. However, I do feel the knob lacked feedback for the steps when twisted. It's actually rather weak, and I think Aula should improve on this from a user experience standpoint. Also, the knob toggles RGB mode by default. You have to switch out from gaming mode to change the volume. On the back, we see the mode toggle switch, which is convenient versus toggles underneath the keycaps and the 2.4 GHz dongle slot. While being held in place by magnets is nifty, I do wish it was more flush to the bezels instead of protruding out like a road bump. The case is held together by clips, which I honestly despise for various reasons. More on that later. However, you get two-step flip-up feet, which is great for customizing your preferred typing angle. Typing on it is indeed comfy with sufficient bounce on the gasket-mounted polycarbonate plate. I do not really feel much unevenness from my regular typing. The stabilizers are plate-mounted, but they are tuned pretty decently. Well, yes, there is a bit of ticking in the left shift. The other keys are completely usable to the everyday Joe. Speaking of which, the typing angle is quite low, allowing for a comfy typing position. However, the rather tall effective front height may call for a wrist rest. This F75 comes pre-installed with Leobox Reaper switches, which are 3.8mm travel linears with an early actuation point of 1.8mm, and here's how they sound. These factory looped switches are smooth and they certainly do sound pretty high pitched per se. However, when installed in the F75 with its arsenal of Poron case foam, P sheet and PET sheet, the pitch is lowered and its deepness is amplified. While it's really smooth, I'm actually annoyed with the 1.8mm actuation point. These switches are already very light and the actuation point exacerbates mispresses. I've had the F75 typing O's just by resting my fingers on it, and I'm a scrawny man experiencing post-quarter life crisis, so it can't be that hard. Typing on it regularly through the 2.4 GHz mode was fine without much issues. I had the dongle placed at a rather far position from the F75 and that did not impact on the typing. I could not test Bluetooth as my PC has no Bluetooth at all. Overall, the F75 is a decent board off the box without much modifications, with a few minor bugs like knob having little to no feedback. And that's all, thanks for watching. Oh, you think that's it? No, all I wanted a serious test, so let's give them that. First up, I would like to see how this board would sound and feel without much of the sound modifying foams and PET sheet getting in the way. If I'm being honest, it sounds artificial. While the sound signature was deep and full, it was also fatiguing to listen for long periods of time. It's like eating a plate of egg fried rice. The first few bites were so good because it was just strong tasting, The next 20 bytes or so are just very tiring. As we say in Mandarin, 吃腻. A good board should be able to hold up without much foam. While other reviews from sites like Bizan advise not to take it apart, I say let's just do it. As it is a clip-in design, it was stupidly difficult to pry open. I had to use 2 pry tools concurrently to unclip it. It got so bad I accidentally snapped off 3 clips, so I diagnosed myself with scale issue and continued with my build. Lifting up the top case, we see 2 ribbon cables and a battery connector. The battery connector requires cable yanking, while the ribbon cables were easier to plug out but very difficult to reconnect afterwards due to the short length. I am greeted with a thick silicone dampener, a thick Poron case foam, and the 1.2mm per key flex cut PCB which sucks the soul out of most keyboards. The case foam in particular is too thick, the gasket could not rest where they're supposed to be, so let's fix that later. On top, we find the plate foam, P sheet and PET sheet, which created the amplified sound effect. The PCB is north facing too, however most switches now are long poles, so cherry profile interference shouldn't be a big problem. Alright, back to the build. I reassembled the board back with just the plate foam and silicone case dampener for more natural sound. However, the Reaper switches seem to have some interference on the spacebar, in which a Gateron Milky Top Yellow has none. Strange. Here's how the end result sounded like. I like this. It's not as strong sounding as the stock configuration, but it does raise the pitch and has a more natural sound to it. It doesn't sound forced or amplified in my opinion. Either way, stock configuration or this so-called light configuration, you can't really go wrong with any. Overall, for $87, this is a good option if you just want a board to use out of the box without much modifications. The sound has zero resonance in its stock form, and the stabilizers are well tuned. Switches are smooth and sounds lively, and the try mode is very handy. However, if you are an enthusiast looking for their next toy to tinker with, I would not recommend this at all, especially if you are a beginner. The clips may not survive after many rebuilds, and I would recommend other boards with a screw-in assembly design over the F75. However, if you just want to swap out the switches, then go for it. I think it's a good option as well. However, the PET and PE sheet will alter the sound, so keep that in mind. That is all I have for y'all. Have a great day or night ahead, and see you all soon.